Hello, good morning. Welcome to Business. My name is Darrell Kwao. The Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research has described the 2020 budget as a normal document with no clear plans on how government intends to grow the economy. Here's more from its post-budget forum.
Institute of Social, Statistical and Economic Research believes the 2020 budget statement lacks concrete plans in raising domestic revenue to finance key infrastructure projects. It also noted that there will be a risk of government overcrowding the private sector and place excessive pressure on interest rates. Explaining the concerns raised as part of a research outcome, Director of the Institute, Professor Peter Corte, argues that taxing in certain areas of the economy, including mobile money, will affect the growth of the financial sector.
Outlook risks of government crowding out the private sector and excessive pressure on interest rate has been noted. Also, increasing debt stock and debt sustainability remains of great concern. We also note that concerns about taxing mobile money remains and can affect financial deepening, especially the poor who have no access to formal banking services, and also with the collapse of microfinance and other non-bank financial institutions. The poor normally accesses financial services through microfinance and the like. A majority of them have been collapsed, and the one that they can cling onto, mobile money services, if we try taxing them, quite a number would pull out of that sector. So we ought to be very careful with that.
The economist also questioned the claim by the finance minister that government has put some 12.4 billion cedis into the pockets of Ghanaians.
If you are a nursing trainee, some of this money will go into your pocket. But if you are not, you won't find that, and so on and so forth. However, during the same period, we also saw utility price increases. We also saw communication service tax increased, and many others. And the net effect, as it eroded the gains, I think that's the kind of discussion we should be asking, whether with all these monies that have been put in our pockets.
The Institute further describes the 2020 budget as a plan which fails to be bold on revenue generation. Ibn Sabote's report for Joy Business.
Now, with little or no representation, African leaders are being urged to involve more women in the tourism and art industry. Speaking at the first Regional Congress on Women Empowerment in the Tourism Sector, Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization said including women will accelerate economic growth.
Secretary General of the United Nations World Tourism Organization at the opening called on African leaders to deepen inclusion of women in the marketing and packaging of tourism in Ghana and Africa.
We need to use and to give more role to women empowerment in the special occasion in tourism. And I'm sure that, and we talk with His Excellency, with Mr. Vice President, that tourism can create jobs, and this is the fastest way, and we all need to use this opportunity and to create as fast as we can new jobs and new opportunities for women in this case via tourism.
Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia chronicled to stakeholders how government is transforming the tourist sector to a foreign exchange earner.
The past years have been extraordinary one for the country, as we witness remarkable growth in international, regional and domestic tourism. Ghana is hailed as one of Africa's economic powerhouses, blessed with rich natural resources. We have a diverse culture, an inspiring history from Gold Coast to now Ghana, and a history in governance that champions democracy and peace across the continent.
Also, First Lady of Zimbabwe, Auxilia Mnangagwa, called on African countries to prioritize the inclusion of women in tourism development.
In Zimbabwe, the government has supported the inclusion of women in the tourism sector, and they supported the creation of a Women in Tourism National Chapter. In addition, this development has been taken to the grassroots through the launch of provincial chapters of Women in Tourism.
Even though the tourism sector contributes more than 5% to the economies of Africa with 3 million jobs created each year, the efforts and potential of women have not been well acknowledged. It is against this narrative that the first regional congress on women empowerment in the tourism sector has been organized here in Accra.
And that's all in business. Back to you, Anymore.